Hi, boys and girls. I'd like to read you a story called Mr. Seahorse by Eric Carle. Mr. and Mrs. Seahorse drifted gently through the sea. Mrs. Seahorse began to wiggle and twist this way and that. "It's time for me to lay my eggs," she said. "Can I help?" asked Mr. Seahorse. "Oh, yes, thank you," said Mrs. Seahorse, and she laid her eggs into a pouch on Mr. Seahorse's belly. "I'll take good care of our eggs," said Mr. Seahorse. "I promise." As Mr. Seahorse drifted gently through the sea, he passed right by. Check this out. See what's behind there. A group of trumpet fish hidden in a patch of reeds. I'm going to show you that again. Here are the reeds. See if you can see the fish that are camouflaged in there. I'm going to open it back up. There they are. But before long, Mr. Seahorse met another fish. "How are you, Mr. Stickleback?" asked Mr. Seahorse. "Delighted," replied Mr. Stickleback. "I just built a nest, and right away Mrs. Stickleback laid her eggs into it. Now I'm taking good care of them until they hatch." "Keep up the good work," said Mr. Seahorse, and he swam on his way. As Mr. Seahorse drifted gently through the sea, he passed right by. Something's hiding behind here. What do you think it could be? Let's check. A lionfish hidden behind a coral reef. Look at the colors of the lionfish. I'm going to show you this again. Let's hide back. See that? Can you see any of? If you look really closely, you can see his eyes and his mouth. There he is. But before long, Mr. Seahorse met another fish. "How are you, Mr. Tilapia?" asked Mr. Seahorse. Mr. Tilapia couldn't answer. His mouth was full of eggs. I know," said Mr. Seahorse. "Mrs. Tilapia laid her eggs. Now you're taking good care of them until they hatch." Mr. Tilapia nodded his head. "You must be very happy," said Mr. Seahorse, and he swam on his way. As Mr. Seahorse drifted gently through the sea, he passed right by several leaf fish hidden among the seaweeds. See if you can see the leaf fish. Ready? Let's check it out. Oh, there they are. Wow. See all the different colors that they are? They're camouflaged. That means they're hiding in the same kind of colors. Wow. But before long, Mr. Seahorse met another fish. "How are you, Mr. Curtis?" asked Mr. Seahorse. "Perfectly fine," replied Mr. Curtis. "Mrs. Curtis laid her eggs, and I've stuck them on my head." See them right there? "Now I'm taking good care of them until they hatch." "You're doing a good job," said Mr. Seahorse, and he swam on his way. So all the dad fish are taking care of all the eggs. As Mr. Seahorse drifted gently through the sea, he passed right by a stonefish hidden behind a rock. Ready? Here it is. There's the stonefish. Let's cover him back up. Can you see him in there? But before long, Mr. Seahorse met another fish. "How are you, Mr. Pipe?" asked Mr. Seahorse. "Couldn't be better," replied Mr. Pipe. "Mrs. Pipe laid her eggs along my belly. Now I'm taking good care of them until they hatch." "You should feel proud of yourself," said Mr. Seahorse, and he swam on his way. But before long, Mr. Seahorse met another fish. "How are you, Mr. Bullhead?" asked Mr. Seahorse. "Tip-top," replied Mr. Bullhead. Mrs. Bullhead laid her eggs, and the eggs hatched. "Now I'm babysitting." "You're doing a fine job," said Mr. Seahorse, and he swam on his way. Well, look at all the fish that he has. The time had come for the Seahorse babies to be born. Mr. Seahorse wiggled and twisted this way and that. At last the babies tumbled from Mr. Seahorse's pouch, and he swam away. One baby turned around and tried to come back into the pouch. "Oh, no," said Mr. Seahorse. "I do love you, but now you're ready to be on your own." The end. And that's the story Mr. Seahorse by Eric Carle. And I wanted to show you a picture. This is Eric Carle. He's the author of the story. That means he's the man that wrote the words to the story. And he's also the illustrator, which means that he painted all of the pictures that you saw. And you can see he's working on his artwork right there, just like we do painting sometimes. Hope you enjoyed the story. Till next time, bye-bye.